if you've got a business, just work on making it a better business, because opportunities are around the corner are gonna be off the charts. I think we're going into the next 10 years of the best times ever for real operators.
Yeah, I agree.
For real operators,
I agree with everything you said.
I think the next 10 years are going to be insane.
From Sarah Systems and Billy Go, this is No BS with Billy Stevens and Landon Brewer, the unfiltered, straight-shooting podcast that dives deep into the heart of home service trades to uncover the truth about running your business. You're entering the No BS zone with Billy and Landon.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us today again for the No BS with Billy and Landon. Today we're going to have a special guest for you, Adam with Billy Go. And we're going to get to hit on just about any topic you can imagine. We're just going to grill this guy today. I always love when we have a new guest, someone to use and abuse, right, Landon?
Oh, I just feel better because it's not you abusing me. So I love it. It just takes all the pressure off.
I can't wait.
Well, welcome to the show.
Yeah. And Landon's such an easy target. I can't help it.
Oh, trust me. I'll give you some layups. There's no doubt about that.
For sure.
So Adam, why don't you introduce yourself to the world? Unless you were planning on introducing him, Billy.
Oh, no.
You've been around for decades.
We're going to let Adam do this. And hey, you're welcome to say whatever you want, Landon. I'll sit back.
Adam.
All right.
So tell me about yourself. Long walks on the beach. What are you all about?
Well, I don't know how much history you want, but Adam Mennenga, and I was born and raised here in Texas. And I used to race dirt bikes. And when I decided I wanted to move on from that and start a career that didn't have injuries, personal injuries, then I had reached out to Billy and was interested in the trades, and started from the very bottom and sweeping the warehouse, learning parts, all the way to eventually installing and then running service manager, and made a career of it.
Wow. So how long have you been in the trades now?
Since 2005, I believe. So quite a while.
Okay, so you were before Billy Go. You started were you at Berkey's?
Yes, I was. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And had a good career there. That's where I started from the ground, and did real well as a technician.
He was our first $1 million tech back in the day.
Yeah, and it was a little harder back then. System, top of the line system was $9-10 grand, not $25,000. So it was a little more difficult to get there, and just through hard work and training, we were able to accomplish that goal. And then it was on to teaching others how to do the same thing and be successful for themselves as well. And, along with all the other stuff that comes with, managing the team.
So you were the barrier breaker of the $1 million mark there in the company, huh? So how many, would you expect maybe, I don't know, how many $1 million tech salespeople, et cetera, have you had since?
Several. That'd be hard to count over the years. I mean, it's been a long time, and several have come through and been able to accomplish it. It's a matter of putting a process in place and really treating customers right, and following the process on how to lead the customer through the journey, and ultimately choosing what's best for them. And if they're winning, you're winning.
The thing is I never really give him experienced technicians. I always make him find the bottom up, just like he was. Right? That's what we bring in here. A lot of inexperienced, just work ethic. Guys with work ethic and integrity. And once I have those two things, we can do just about anything with them. And so Adam's learned how to teach them how to sweep floors first, and in some cases, and then move them through the process, just like the same process he went through that we started developing in the 90s. And, a little bit on his background, and he's a humble guy. He's not going to sit here and tell you, all the stuff. He's that guy, a really cool guy, and I've known him a long time. I think he's about 12 or 13 years old when I started getting involved in his motorcycle career. Him and his dad dad, are around a lot, and I became good friends with his dad. And his dad actually works here as well now, and has now for 15 or more years with the Berkeys and now Billy Go. And so his dad's name's Mike, and Mike and I'd help them some so they can guide him in his career, because he was a nationally ranked professional motocross racer when he was younger, and had aspirations to be, a millionaire riding dirt bikes. And, and he saw that that's a dangerous sport. After a while, you get a certain age, and he decided he needed to try something new. Plus, he was getting married and all this stuff, and he needed to settle down and focus. And I said, well, I'll give you a job, but it's going to be the worst job I have. I'm going to do it on purpose. Since you know how to ride a dirt bike, you're going to learn how to move dirt around in a warehouse.
There you go. So
that's how I got started. And it was really with Adam where I really got the idea that if I could take these guys that, like a motocross racer, there's only one other discipline in sports that they're in better shape, they say, is soccer. The commitment that it takes to be a professional motocross racer is what I'm looking for in people to come into the trades. I mean, because those guys are dedicated, and they'll do whatever it takes, and they'll go through life. They'll risk their lives to be perfect in an imperfect sport. And so that's what I love about the sport, and why I like bringing kids in from any type of motorsports or sports whatsoever, because those are the ones that we can mold and have that good work ethic, and are going to do whatever it takes to win. And, I made it really, really, really probably more difficult for him to succeed than normal, because I knew he could take it, because I knew him already, and I knew he could take it. And I made it I made it horrible for him. I mean, not horrible in a bad way, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Now we're getting to the truth.
You know what I mean? I'm just being honest with you, because the people that listen to this podcast need to hear that it's okay to have discipline with your technicians. They're not going to leave you if you discipline them and make them focus on what they're supposed to be. But I was a mentor at the same time. I didn't do anything negatively, but I was a mentor and pushed him. I pushed him hard, and I gave him tasks that he probably couldn't complete, on purpose, to see how he would deal with it. And that's just how you're supposed to, this is how I like doing it, to see how these guys prevail and
how to handle stress.
It worked out, and now he runs, after I left Berkey's, I mean, he doubled, tripled Berkey's, once I left. And then, I was away for 5-6 years, and he calls me up and he's like, I want to do it again with you. It was too much fun. Let's do it again. And I'm like, you're willing to give away everything you've got? You've got a big salary, cushy job, and you're willing to give all that away and go take a risk in a startup? And he said, yeah. I said, okay, well, that's all I need to know. Let's go. Let's do it.
That's it.
And that's when Billy Go was born.
I really think that you hit on something there that's probably not talked about enough. I think if we're talking, to me, like what you just described is you've got somebody that's kind of a natural leader and has leadership qualities and all those things you're looking for in a leader, right? And I think that what happens is businesses scale. They go from, you're a startup entrepreneur, right? Then you go to your adapting phase of putting in process and stuff. Then hopefully you scale it to a point where it's 20, 30 million and thriving, and you're evolving that business, right? So you need to go through different phases of leadership. Sometimes the owner needs to be, enhance their leadership skills. Sometimes it's you bring somebody in to be a leader. And I think what happens is when you get to that kind of maybe $10 million level where you've got other managers kind of coming in and managing, if you don't have real leaders that are genuine, authentic, and really give a shit about the people that they're working with, trying to develop and mold them, and the people know that, it's very hard to hold people accountable. And it's even more difficult because most of those people are like people pleasers. You get people pleasers at this managerial level, this $10 million business, because they're trying to keep the owner happy. They're trying to keep the employee happy. They're trying to give a little extra hours over here, a little bit of pay over here, a little bonus over here, a little bit of growth over here. And they're just trying to keep the peace, and they're peacekeepers. And that is like the opposite of growth. What you have, when you found somebody that helped you scale and build a business at a high level, and it was a thriving business, said, hey, I want to do it again, and I want to build something great, and I want to be a part of that. That takes genuine, authentic, somebody that just really gives a shit. And I don't know you that well, Adam, but from what's been described, that's what I would say you embody so far. What's the real tea? I want to get the real scoop. How much of a family friendly show? How much of a jerk really was Billy to you? What's the worst stuff that he put you through?
Well, I think working. I think HVAC installs difficult. I mean, when you're learning the ropes and coming through and you start an install, and if you can make it through install, you can make it through anything. And I think it was a blessing in a way that he put me through the very bottom all the way through, because it taught me so much, right? And I still, you don't forget that. And he never put me through anything terrible. I know it may have sounded bad, but no, he was always mentoring. He was always guiding and really showing me every detail that it takes to operate a good business. Didn't know that at the time. Looking back now, I can clearly see that, the whole idea was to make me experience every piece of it so that we'd be where we are now. And I use a lot of that to the guys I work with now too. I mean, just what I've learned, I'm passing it on, and that's how we have such success here.
That's phenomenal. So fill me in again, Billy. When did Billy go? When was it established?
2018.
18.
Yeah, 2018.
Okay. And then, so we're math is not my strong suit. We're 5 years in, basically 6 years in.
Yeah, big year 6.
What's the revenue and now of Billy Go? How many employees?
Approaching 20
million. Yep.
All organic.
6 years organic growth, 0 to 20. I mean, that takes, what do you think is the key ingredient to that, Adam?
Everybody. It takes the entire team. From marketing to answer the phone to, having a relationship right when you answer the phone to booking the appointment, and then, understanding when you get there that the customer's first. And we also treat our technicians like they're our customers, as far as management. And same thing with the CSRs. By treating our technicians like they are the customer, they're going to do the same for the actual customer. And we're really big on that. That's really helped with not only the tenure here. I mean, we've got people that have been with, I think there's 6 or 7, if I'm not mistaken, Billy, that have been here since day one with us as far as technicians. That says a lot in itself. And then, adding to that team. But we really teach, all of our staff to work together, ask questions, lean on each other. We have group text together that really, we have open communication. The leadership team, which is myself, Jeff, the plumbing operations manager, and Jorge, we all sit at the same table. We don't even have our own desk. We sit at the same table. That way we all know what's going on. We know what other technicians, maybe not even in my department, are going through. So when you see them in the hall, hey, how you doing? Just if we treat our technicians like that, then they'll treat our customers the same way. And then you get the repeat customers that come through the door. And then there's the whole process of running the call, which I'm sure we'll get to at some point. But, and establishing that relationship with the customer, they know you're not out just trying to get them, every call.
Yeah, you said something there, and I guess to each their own, but you said that you sit at the same desk with the other key managers of the business and the drivers of the business. Maybe that's not for everybody, but that's how I prefer to operate.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm a sales manager at G, like I always had my key people in there that were doing call by call, that were watching what was happening on the board, that were just working together to create the machine that's going to drive the sales. And it's kind of like a little mini boiler room. How I always used to, it was like, we got all this space, but just sit around my desk and all four of us are like, okay, you take that. And it just makes it a much more exciting thing, at least for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a Vin Diesel fan ever since that movie, The Boiler Room, right? And really, I love that concept, how they were doing that. I thought it was fantastic. And maybe subconsciously I started doing that because of that movie. I don't know. I don't know the timeline of the movie, but I mean, that's the concept that we wanted when we started Billy Go. We didn't necessarily do that when we had Berkey's. Back when we had Berkey's, everybody was siloed, and I hated it. I just absolutely couldn't get my arms around it. It just didn't seem like we were connected ever. And we were always trying to connect ourselves, and we couldn't build the culture we were looking for and all that. And so, like you said, they came in here with an open mind when we started Billy Go, and every single thing we've ever thought was correct, we wanted to question it. And now we may have questioned it and ended up doing it the same way anyway, because the other ideas didn't flush out and work out better. However, majority of them worked out better because we did question them. And this is one of them. And so these guys know everything that's going on. And if they need a quick hand or whatever, they've got someone that could grab it for them or take care of it for them. And of course, I think they've got another assistant coming in to help them to even enhance this even more. And it's our version of call by call, if you will. It's all by all is what we do here. It's all of us doing it instead of just focus just on call by call. We do all the things that need to be done, and we're always using there's no bosses here. It's mentors. We're molding young men, young women to be better. A lot of the folks that come into the industry have strained relationships, family one way or another. We try to show them, hey, this is our family here. This is how we do things, and we're going to be transparent with you. We're going to, we may disagree with you, but you may disagree with us, but we're all going to come up with a common ground, and we're going to figure this all out. Everyone has a voice. And everyone knows their job duties, and so I think the biggest thing that he's done, that I really am proud of the work that he's done over the years is he's very consistent, and he's very monotone, if you will. He doesn't get too excited. He doesn't get too down. He stays in the middle. He's always on even ground. And so everyone knows where he's coming from.
You don't say. I'd never get that.
Yeah, right. And think about it. I mean, are you even 40 yet?
Yeah.
Are you? How old are you? I forgot.
42.
42. Okay. So I knew he wasn't very much older than 40. I mean, so let's back up 19 years ago, and he's 22, 23. Okay. Mm-hmm. So he came into this industry at 23-year-old. Now he's running a multi-million-dollar operation. He's making seven figures, probably six to almost seven figures, as a young guy, and he's giving back what he's teaching. He's teaching his someone to come and do what he's doing at some point, right? He's doing that, and so I think as business owners, we don't think about running our businesses this way. We're too busy with our hair on fire to even think about 10 years from now. I mean, when I brought him in, when he was 23 years old, I had aspirations in my head of how far I could take him. I even would talk to him about it. How far do you want to go? How far do you think you can go? And he would say, as far as you can take me, boss. I said, well, it's not me taking you. It's as far as you can go. I'll just help guide you. And so now here he is, number 2 guy in a large company. He's already built one very successful business, and now he's doing a second one, all by the age of 42. And I'm proud of him, and that's why I wanted to get him on the show, because I wanted people to understand that if we really build these businesses around mentorship and discipline and accountability and no crazy crap, just consistency, you know what I mean?
Yeah, what you said earlier, like what you like about how he conducts himself, you said monotone. That's kind of insulting, but I'll go with it. But more just consistent, right?
There he goes being mean again.
I'm telling you. I was looking at the way he was sitting there, and I just had to do something about it.
It takes a certain personality too to be able to go in, because if you think about it, it's no different than professional sports, right? Like the important stuff that you do, the important stuff to grow the business is mundane, is not exciting. Is not that exciting. It's not like, a lot of people, they're on social media, they say, hey, let's hire this coach. Let's go to this class. Let's pay this guru $10,000. He's going to teach us some whiz bang words to handle objections, and you're going to become a multi-million-dollar sales guy. It's, well, sure, that might help you some. That has nothing to do with building a long-term, sustainable, viable business that's built on a solid foundation. What does is keeping everybody accountable, having 100% alignment where everybody's on the same page, understands what they're supposed to be doing every day. Everybody shows up. It's a consistent team. They're doing the same things every day. It's what I used to tell my mobile partner, Ken. I would say, we're trying to create a boring business. Boring businesses are a profitable business. They're growing business, right? The opposite of profit and growth is chaos, right? So I think alignment with everybody, that alignment is probably the most underrated thing in this business. If you can have total alignment with your team, that's the opposite of chaos, which is the profit sucker, right?
Absolutely.
Talk to me about that. Like, what do you see as like the most important fundamentals day to day for these businesses?
Well, like you talked about, Landon, we really have a problem with the industry too. Like, there's a lot of, that's why Billy had spoken earlier about how, who we hire, and we look for talent that's not the old dog, new trick, right? Because, they have their certain ways. And so we really look to do a lot of training. We train twice a week, and what I mean by that is we truly train, and that's technical and walking through the customer journey. So doing it twice a week and sticking to that, where we can constantly train these technicians to have a good relationship with the customer. Not only that, staying aligned whenever we have things that we see that are happening, or there's industry changes too. We got new refrigerant coming out here soon, so all these things that we're constantly juggling, we're on the line. So when we communicate with each other and the customer, we all know what the plan is, where we're going, where we're headed, and along with that is all the other stuff. We don't change the meeting times and days a lot. We stick to it. We stick to the regimen, just like if you're like a sport. You train, you do this when you get up, you eat this, if you're struggling here, you need to work in that area, and that's exactly what we do every day, every week, and just try to get better. And then we recruit. We've got several success stories. We have success stories of people that have been here, struggled with their own issues, and help walking them through it, and now are very successful. Instead of just saying, letting them go, or, tell them good luck. It's putting in the work, like you said, where you the grind, so to speak, that nobody gets to see, but it's the work behind the scenes in order for that customer to have the best experience.
And one of the things, I want to put something in here real quick. For instance, all this training that we're talking about doing refrigerant and all this stuff, it's everybody needs to know about it. And so if we're on top of what's happening, like for instance, if you change your marketing to do something, shouldn't your technicians know about this marketing? Shouldn't your CSRs know about this marketing? Shouldn't everyone know about what we're doing here so that we all can handle the situation when we're talking to a customer or being in front of a customer or whatever we're doing? And so it comes back to it's the training that we're talking about. Yes, there's new refrigerant training, but then there's the business philosophy training and then the personal philosophy training, right? You know, how can we help you personally get better? And then how can we keep you all informed about the business itself so that we're all on top of our game? It's no difference than let's pretend you're a car salesman and you get a new model and you get a new customer in the door and they go, well, tell me what it does. You go, well, I don't know yet. I haven't had a chance to check out all the buttons or anything. I mean, that's a bad experience, right? And so that's what he's talking about is we are ahead of all of it and everyone is on the same page. And that takes commitment. And that takes communication, and that takes dedication, and that takes consistency. I mean, and I feel like so many companies, we just get so caught up with our hair on fire, the chaos and all that stuff that we just never are able to get to this point where we are. And that's why they don't excel like our companies do. And that's why, you know, when people come and see Billy go, they're just like blown away because they're just like, oh my gosh, there's not even a business here.
Yeah, what's quiet?
What's happening? It's not like where I work, right? And so that is what I really enjoy about what we've been able to do over the years. These are the things that people don't hear at all. This is why we put the show out. I mean, we need to get this information out, but just having a plan, a routine, like you said, your diet's important. If you're going to be an athlete, you have to be regimented. You have to exercise. You can't over-exercise. You got to eat the right stuff. This much protein, this many carbs, right? All these things. And a business is the same thing. And that's what he's good at. That's what he's great at. So that's why I wanted to get him on here and get his point of view because he's in it every day.
Along with that, you know, this whole kind of notion of alignment and consistency. You know, one of the things I get asked a lot, I'm sure you get asked too, is like, hey, you know, I'm at whatever stage of growth, I want to get to the next level. What do I do first? Should I go out and spend the money on marketing and market and generate more leads? Should I go out and hire more people? Should I, do I need to hire some managerial expertise to get my management? Should I help up, do more training? Like what's the next step for me? And my answer, and you guys have different answers. My answer is always like, you have to do it all at the same time. You can't do one or the other.
You have to, if you want to get to the next level,
you got a budget that's going to grow $2 million.
You got to generate more leads.
You got to convert more. You have to go out and manage those people, control your labor costs. You have to do all of these things at the same time. You'll hire the people to run the calls. And if you don't, as you get larger, you can segment a little bit more and have people focus on those things. But you have to do it all at the same time. Otherwise, you're generating leads and wasting money generating leads. Or you've gone out and spent the money to hire people that you can't keep busy. It's just a chaotic thing, which again is the opposite of profit, right? The alignment, consistency. So that's my answer. What do you guys think? What's the importance? Like, what's your next stage of growth? What are the steps that you guys are taking?
Yeah, I mean the first thing. I mean, when I think back to when we first opened the doors, it was we did it all, just like you're saying. We had marketing. Obviously, you have your marketing ducks in a row as to where you're going to start, how much money you're going to put into what. And obviously having some guidance on that is very helpful. But, we had technicians, if they didn't have a call to run, they were driving through a school zone, at first, just to be recognized and see the truck. And, that was another part of marketing. And, and if you're not running a call and you're not driving through a school zone, you're training. And then we're also constantly working on, the CSRs and being ready. So when that phone rang, we knew exactly what we were going to do, how we were going to handle it, and who was going to go, and that way we could make the most money that we could, right? And then you can't at first. You can't pocket that money. You got to put it right back in. And that was some of the hard times nobody talks about is those first month, 2, 3 months, 6 months. All of a sudden a year goes by and you're still doing it to get going. But that's what you have to do. And you really got to get past, I would say $2 to $3 million mark. Before you feel like you've reached an area where you can breathe. It depends on how big you're going to go. If you're just going to be by yourself, you don't need to do 3 million, but it depends on where you're going to scale, right? But you got to have that plan. You got to have that goal, and you got to stick to it. And sometimes it gets hard.
So would you say preparing before you actually open the doors would be a great idea?
That's the big one.
That's a big one right there. I think a lot of people decide to go in business for themselves and there's no preparation.
Yeah. Or money.
Or money. There's never any money.
Yeah. So, yeah, preparing, but it's not just preparing for like stocking the truck. That's not preparing. Preparing is every aspect of it, right? Where is your home? Where's the base? That's huge too. Like, where are you going to call home for this business? And what does it look? What's the market share look around? I mean, you got to start from the ground. And what is your plan? What are your competitors doing? Members. You're gonna be doing members, or you're just gonna wing it, right? Memberships are huge. I know Billy's probably talked a lot about that. But you got to have members. So once you capture that customer, you want to maintain that customer. And so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people do, right? I think a lot of people that go into go into their entrepreneurial journey are people that come as skilled tradespeople that were working for somebody else, and I'm making $100,000, and if I sell whatever I sell, and I could do it by myself, I can make $150,000 than $200,000, and they get this idea of like, okay, I could just make more money. Well, making more money isn't a business plan. It might be a temporary plan for your life, but that's not a business plan. Like, are you going into the business day one to build something that has significant enterprise value, and it's going to be a valuable commodity, it's going to have foundation? Most people don't go into it that way. They go in trying to survive and make more money, and then they try and adapt and figure it out. Then they join the best practices group. I mean, Billy, I'm sure that was your entrepreneurial journey, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Sounds like the story of Berkey's.
There you go. Wing it. I didn't want to wing it again. I learned that winging was a little hard, a hard way to do it. And it's just preparation. I think we're very good at preparing. We're very proactive business mindset. I teach these guys proactive. Don't wait for something to go wrong. Be prepared for it for when it comes. It's kind of what we're going through right now with the industry, right? With the economy. Everybody's living large, not preparing for today. That you and I started talking about 2 years ago, right? And so I have been talking to these guys about this for about 2 years. I've been telling them, look, this thing's going to turn, and we need to be prepared. And we had conversations in November of 2023 of like, we got to build budgets for next year. What do we think is going to happen? And the general consensus is we were going to be flat. We built a budget to not grow at all. And we came out straight out of the first quarter. I think first quarter we were up like 60%. And we're like, oh, we didn't see that coming. But, probably be up 30, 40% this year based on way things are going from last year to this year. So we missed it, but we were proactive. And what if it did come, and we do always have like plan A, B, and C, right? You have flat, normal, and then hyper growth, right? And in whichever box you fall in, you're prepared for it. But at the end of the day, I think it's just being proactive and then preparing, always looking forward is a key ingredient to whatever size business you are. If you're just going to start tomorrow on a new business, that's what you need to know. If you're going to go from $1 million to $3 million, that's what you need to know. If you're stuck at that $3 million range, we all know that $3 million is what everybody gets stuck. And, how do they get themselves unstuck? Well, this is what they need to do. Exactly what Adam's talking about.
I feel like it should be 5 million now, based on the inflation in the last couple of years. I feel like 5 million is the new 3 million, but
yeah.
So let me challenge you guys though, because you're planning, you're preparing, and all this. Well, what do you guys see happening? Like, what are you preparing for over the next couple of years? Do you see the trends continuing? What's the is there a bigger opportunity? What do you guys see?
Yeah, I think we got to get through this election and see what's going to happen with that. We'll see what comes of that, right? But my goal, what I do is I constantly work on trying to, get as much as we can out of what we've been given, and then focus on with the marketing team in our membership program so that we can maximize the opportunity that we have. Now, we are really kind of planning just for a small, growth for next year, nothing extravagant. And we're just kind of watching to see what happens after November. And I think that's really the best plan. Not expect massive growth, but, with our history here at Billy Go, we don't plan on, going down at all. If anything, going flat and just seeing how long it takes to just take back off, because it'll come back, it'll come back strong.
Yeah. So my thought on that. So I look at things differently. He's more in the, like Billy Go itself. And he's right on the money on our expectations. Me, I'm never looking at it from the Billy Go point of view. I look at globally, about all of my businesses. And, I see massive growth from acquisitions is what I see for us. We started acquiring companies. One reason we started acquiring companies is because we wanted to learn what these private equity firms are going through so we could build processes to eliminate, software to eliminate all the chaos that's involved in that. And so I'm like, why don't we just start buying some ourselves and let's fix all those problems. And then how do we buy a company on Friday and have it completely running in the new software system and everything, and by Monday, kind of idea is what we're working on now. So that's where I'm at. I'm kind of outside of what Billy Go does on a day to day. I'm working on that kind of stuff. And so Billy Go buys them, and then we document everything that we go through. So that we can buy easier and quicker and less painful. So we got that. So I'm very high on that. I think that like Adam was saying, the election, see how it goes. If, one thing we want to do is we want to stay profitable, because the last thing I want to do is eat dogs.
Cats, dogs.
Yeah, cats, whatever. For those of y'all watching this, the debate was last night, so I think we'll air this next week. So, so we don't want to go there, but no, I think that for the industry overall, it may be a little rough in 2025. I do believe it's going to be a little rough, but there'll be pockets where it's okay, and there'll be pockets where it's fantastic. But the general consensus, it's going to be rough. I don't think it matters who comes in so much in 2025, because they can't change much of what the damage that's done is done. Whoever comes in is it's gonna take another year or so to start unraveling this mess. So that's how I see it. I see that I couldn't think of a better industry to be in. I think it's still a baby. I still think that we're still in one of the most undisrupted industries in the world. So there's lots of room for disruption in our space. Lots of opportunity. If you've got a business, just work on making it a better business, because opportunities are around the corner are gonna be off the charts. I think we're going into the next 10 years of the best times ever for real operators.
Yeah, I agree.
For real
I agree
operators,
with
right?
you.
I think the next 10 years are going to be insane. It's going to be awesome.
The acquisition opportunity, I think, is definitely going to be there. It's there right now. I think you have a whole bunch of underperforming businesses all over the country, specifically in the private equity-backed arena. A lot of over-leveraged, underperforming businesses that might be opportunities. I think at the end of the day, disciplined, consistent leadership is going to win. And if you have a business that's run by a disciplined leader, leadership always wins, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so and I think that's why you're seeing some of this failure in the private equity side, because a lot of the leadership and discipline goes away when some of those people leave. And I think that's on top of some of the economic stuff that you're seeing. So yeah, I would agree with you. I think that there's going to be, I think we're, if I'm an investor coming in, looking at the space, and I've been looking at it since, the last wave of consolidation started, like, I think right now might be a good time. I think we're coming in, and you might have the opportunity it's in a less competitive environment, and, a lot of opportunities. And as the tides change a little bit, you want to be on this side of the tide and just ride it up. You don't want to be riding it down. You don't want to be at when a lot of these companies came in at the peak of the peak after during the pandemic, and it, kind of slid down. So I think it's an exciting time for us.
I do too. I'm so excited. I'm so glad that I'm in this space. I mean, it's been a great career already, but the next 10 years, I think it's just going to be phenomenal. I mean, we talk about PE all the time, but 5% of the industry hasn't been bought. It's I don't even think it's 3%. It's so small. May even be 1%. I don't know exactly, but I know it's a very, very small amount. So what does that mean? I mean, if you've got $1 million to $3 million business and you're running it efficiently, like we're, trying to help you do, and really getting the money out of that thing, I'd be going to the bank. I'd be setting up some lines of credit. I'd be getting some business loans set up, to do some acquisitions. You could do some local acquisitions with small companies right there in your own town and create your own powerhouse. And you don't even have to leave where you are. You can handle, just pretty much absorb your customer base throughout your region. When these folks get in trouble, all you need is a strong balance sheet. You got a strong balance sheet, the world is your oyster right now.
Another question for you, real quick, because these businesses can be high stress, high pressure, right? So you seem to be pretty calm, collected, even keel individual. Mm-hmm. But there's got to be stuff. For me, at a certain point in time, after you've been in business a while, you've been robbed from, you've been lied to, cheated to, customers steal from you, employees.
That's never happened.
Wrecking vehicles.
Humanity a little bit, right? So how do you have a regimen outside at work to, do you have a therapist? Do you guys have therapists on standby, or how do you cope with it?
Well, I've got a great family. I will say that. I've got 3 kids that are busy, nonstop. A beautiful, strong wife that works here with me, but when we get home, we leave it here. And so, leaning on them, with them being busy, I'm able to somewhat get away at times with their sporting events and things like that. But back to what really, I think what you're getting at too, is what are some of the things that really put you to that edge. And, today's day and age, good, solid technicians are hard to come by, right? And so there's a lot of training. There's a lot of stuff that we have to go through and pains to get to where we want to be. And then the customers, there's the customers are, they have a feeling of this industry that feel like people are trying to get over on them constantly. And, we always working to make sure the customer does not feel that from Billy Go. And as soon as we do that, we're able to grow the customer base. But dealing with customers and dealing with techs are the two things that stress me out. The rest of it I can handle no problem. So working with techs, but usually that's just a quick learning each other, learning how each other operate, learning what motivates the individual, and really working to be on a relationship level where you can understand each other, and success comes from that pretty regularly.
I always, I've recommended to people, I never did this. I wish I did it, but I wanted to keep like a book, almost like a diary. And, cause there's something new all the time. Some, oh, this guy can't show up because his trailer was set on fire. I thought last week it was your mother's trailer was set on fire. Like there's always,
we had a guy that had 47 wisdom teeth.
Yeah.
Well, that needed to be pulled. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, just
we had the same last name.
For everybody listening, just like, we know that you experienced this. Just get a book, get a notepad, write down the stories, because, there's so many of them, I can't even remember them now.
Yeah.
But you could write a book.
Oh, you could.
Yeah. On and on.
Yeah. Well, awesome, Adam. Any last comments that you would like to make, or?
I don't know if a lot of our success, if you guys wanted to come by at any time, to kind of see firsthand, how we operate, what we do. We've already shared it with several companies that have come by, and just to trying to better understand the process and how we go about making our customers happy. I'd be more than happy to share that with anybody who wants to come by.
Awesome.
I love it. That's what I love about this industry, man. Everybody's just so open, willing to share, and not everybody, but most people that I've found are like that. So I love that, and that's great.
Awesome. Well, it was great having you on here. You're the second guest that we've ever had.
Right.
Yeah. Number 2.
The first one that's ever been in a studio. I haven't even been in a studio yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
That was a big scramble, because, we weren't set up for a guest to come in here. And so my boy Tim over there, my producer, Hollywood, he's got kind of Hollywooditis now, I think. But anyway, he scrambled, he got it all put together, and here it is. It's all working. There's wires everywhere. I just want you to know. I don't think y'all can see all the wires that are underneath the tables. It's crazy. I don't know how everything gets to where it's going. So it does. But no, Adam, we really appreciate you coming on board.
Thanks for having me.
Hanging out with us, shooting the shit, if you will. But no bullshit.
No bullshit.
Right?
No bullshit.
There you go. And I want to thank everybody. Hey, please like and subscribe. We're also on Spotify, TikTok, Apple Podcast, of course, YouTube, which we are growing rapidly on. iHeartMedia. Is there anything else I left out, sir?
I don't think so.
So we are actually growing. We're getting on all these different channels, and it's all because of Landon Brewer that we have got.
I want to see Billy. It's Billy. TikTok's got to be you, man. You must be really good at those dances.
I must be.
We got to see some Billy.
Let's see it.
That's where Billy Go comes from, actually.
That's right.
It was Billy's TikTok career. It was the Billy Go, and he would just throw it up.
That's exactly what it was. I'm an entertainer. All right, guys. See you on the next one.
See you guys.
All right, bye.
No BS with Billy and Landon is produced and delivered to you by Sarah Systems. At Sarah Systems, we've created a better way to run your home service business and unlock unprecedented growth. Our field service software was designed by real home service professionals to help you save steps, charge for previously unbillable time, and win more business. But the true change requires more than software. Our live coaching helps you understand and control the aspects of your business that matter most. It's about time for a new era of service, and we're leading the way. If you're ready to join the hundreds of other contractors who've been able to increase profit margins more than 50% within 6 months, visit sarah.tech today. That's Sarah, SERA.tech today.